Hello, welcome to OctopusDo. This is Christian Ross and my good friend Nero right there coming to you. And we're going to show you a little bit about wire weaving today. If you're new to my channel and interested in jewelry making, then subscribe by clicking the subscribe banner below. And after you click subscribe, you'll see a notification option so you can turn notifications on to learn when new videos come out. I'm going to get you started with a basic wire weaving technique today. I'm using two wire sizes. I'm using a 16 gauge as my thicker base wire, and I'm using a 26 gauge as my thinner weaving wire. You can do variations of this. You could use a 24 gauge or a 28 gauge if you wanted to for the thin wire, but 26, I like it. It shows up really well and it's very easy to weave. And then on the base wires, a 16 gauge is great if you're doing bracelets and things like that. If you just wanted something small, you could do an 18 gauge, which is not as thick, but you know, this works really well, and we'll see what it looks like. The only tools you're going to use at this time, because we're just doing the weaving part, will be a pair of flush cutters to cut the wire off the spool, and you need something to straighten your wire. Two options that I have here to show you are a pair of Nylon Jaw Pliers that you can use to straighten your wire, or this handy little wire straightening tool from Ep11, which is really easy to use, and I'll show you how to use that. I like both of these, so I wanted to show you two different options. So let's get started. The first thing that you need to do is cut 6 inches off of your 16 gauge wire to make the frame. Now, I like straightening all of my wire at once. I need 2 pieces of this 6 inch, so I'm going to go ahead and pull a lot off of the spool, like so, and I can straighten it with my fingers because I've been doing this for a while, but it's a little harder on the hands. So here's how you use the wire straightening tool from Ep11. Take this tool in your hand and it folds as you fold your fingers, like that. A lot of people think that you somehow feed the wire through. No, you lay the wire across it and you curl your hand, and that encases the wire down in it. So you basically just hold it tight and pull your wire and it straightens the wire. Very handy, like so. Another option that you could use would be these Nylon Jaw Pliers. They act the same way. They grab your wire without marring it. So let me put a few bends in this. And then grab your Nylon Jaw Pliers, hold on to the wire like so, and give it a pull. And this will straighten your wire as well. So I'm going to cut 2 pieces of 6 inch wire from the 16 gauge. You can guesstimate if you want, but I've got my ruler here. I forgot to mention that you should probably have a ruler as well. All right, so 6 inches are right here. Give that a snip. And then I'll measure the same, just taking the same piece and using it to measure the second cut. There you go. You can take your 26 gauge and pull off about 1 yard if you'd like. However, when I do wire weaving, I like to work off of the spool, and that way I can use as much as I like without having to measure, cut, or add more wire. To start weaving, I just take one of the pieces of the 16 gauge wire and the end of my 26. Just by holding these two together like so, and then wrapping my wire backwards just to get that anchor. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 coils around, and I squish them together just with my fingers to make that look nice and neat. So now I'm ready to start weaving with the 2 base wires. So I take my second 16 gauge wire and I lay it next to the first. I don't have to hold them apart because the wire that is wrapped around here will keep them a little bit separate. But I'm going to have to go in between them, so I just need to make sure that the ends are nice and straight and they don't cross over each other. I've got my coiled piece on the bottom, and so I'm coming up behind the piece and I'm going to wrap around both wires. So here I've got this, and I've got to hold that tail to keep the whole thing from spinning. And I just wrap around. So I went up and over, and I come back down. So that's wrapped around both of them one time. And do that again. So it's wrapped around both 2 times. Now I need to go around just that bottom side that I started with. So I'm going to wrap this around, but the back part of my wire needs to go in between my 2 frame wires. So I've gone up and in between. And then I pull this down so that that single wrap is right next to the 2 double. And I do that again. So basically I'm doing 2 single wraps and then 2 double wraps. And that's my pattern. And that's really all there is to it. So I've done the 2 single wraps. My next step is to go around both of the frame wires twice. So go around once and twice, like so, and then 2 single wraps down here. So 1, slide it down. And you can use those nylon jaw pliers if you need to slide your wraps together and make everything all nice and neat. So 1 and then 2. And again, you can use your nylon jaw pliers here. Slide that down. So I've done the 2 single, I've got to do the double. So go over both. There's 1 and 2, and then 2 single. So down in between there's 1 and 2. That's really all there is to it. So you can get a pretty good rhythm going really quickly once you get the hang of it, and you'll have a full piece in no time. Once you get that full piece, there's so many different things that you can do with it. And I can show you a few options, but let's just wrap some more. If you need to bend your frame wires apart just a little bit at the end to make it easier to get your wire in there, then do that. You can always straighten them out as you get further down. So 2 singles, there's 1, 2, then the doubles, 1, 2, singles, 1, 2. Because I'm only using 2 frame wires for this, I don't have to tape my wires together or anything like that. It's a nice simple pattern, very easy to do to get started. Now, one thing I want you to notice that with this particular pattern, everything is going around in this direction. I don't back up at any point. There's no figure eights, nothing like that. Just everything is going forward. It's either going around both of the frame wires or one. So both and then one. So I have a pretty long woven piece going on right here. What to do with it? There are so many options. It's really pretty like this. If I had made it a little bit longer, it would be a nice thin bracelet. That would be really pretty. I could wrap it around a larger stone to make a pendant, like I did a smaller piece around this one. So many different things. It could be a ring. If you wanted to wrap that around, then it could capture a bead at the top, but there's really a lot you could do with this. I would love to see what you make, so I'll leave my Instagram link below as well. If you make something out of this weave, I would love to see a photo of it. If you like this video, leave me a comment below. Love reading your comments. Give it a like. But now that you know, go make something.